Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Sophie. I have a doctorate in literature, which means I get way too emotionally invested in the shows that we're watching. So if that sounds like something you will enjoy, why don't you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video? Today, we're reacting to episode 16 of season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Todo and Itadori have become the bestest of friends. The other students have discovered that the Kyoto students are trying to kill Itadori, so they have now got involved. And we're seeing Maki versus Miwa. So maybe we'll get the Kyoto students to kind of understand that their true purpose is an exchange, not an assassination mission. But I am here for the Todo Itadori bromance. It is absolutely everything. I knew it was going to happen and I was so happy when it did. But I am looking forward to seeing how the rest of this plays out in terms of the event and whether they will learn to start working together rather than against one another. I know it's a competition, but they did say that in this first event, they needed to be aware of the cursed spirits and that really the focus should be the cursed spirits. They can sabotage each other, but the purpose is a race to defeat as many as possible, and they've just got massively sidetracked. They're not even doing that. So let's see how the event plays out. I am worried that the event could be sabotaged because Geto did talk about how he was going to go to the school to get the 6 fingers of Schooner because they want to try and bribe Schooner by having all the fingers as like a temptation, and the school has 6 of them. I am worried that we're going to see the event come to like a sudden halt because of Geto, but we'll see. It might not. The event might play out without issues, but there was just kind of some like hints that we might see something happen at the school because Geto needs those fingers as part of his plan. Without further ado, though, let's get into episode 16.
そっちのじじいから虎杖殺すよう言われたでしょ。この子勘がいいな。
They all do.
それはパンダちゃんの方か。何それ。別に隠さなくていいのよ。私だって殺す気でやるし、特にあいつ。マイとかいうマキさんの出がらし。
Watered down version.
なんだ、怒れんじゃん。私も今同じ気持ちだよ。ああ、そういやそっちのメンバーにもいたわね。ペッパーくん。スクラップにして不法投棄しようかしら。
怖い。
Woo! Panda!
樹害だぞ。死にはしないさ。で、誰がペッパーくんだって？
この1年は私が可愛く叩き直す。舞ちゃんの苦労。女が呪術師として生きていく意味。もろもろ教え込んでやる。
なんつって。
Just kidding.
人形風情が。
Oh.
た口を。
やれやれ。呪霊狩りはどこへやれ。
ソードオプション。
So there's a body inside the robot. So is there a body inside a panda, or how does Panda work? Also, I'm really interested by that comment of how a woman suffers in becoming a jujutsu sorcerer. Is it seen as like a man's world? Like, is it dominated by men so women aren't taken as seriously? Or like, what's the beef? What's the drama there?
お前強いな。何級だ。俺の予想だとこんな塩梅。
対呪霊の格付けが今必要とは思えんが教えてやる。準1級だ。
Oh, semi first grade. What?
攻撃範囲が広い。
この出力では核をピンポイントで捉えなければ無意味か。
呪骸。内側に呪いを宿し、自立可能な無生物の総称。人工的な呪骸には心臓となる核が存在する。パンダは傀儡呪術学の第一人者私、矢賀正道の最高傑作。感情を持って生まれた呪骸。
So he's a cursed corpse.
パンダはパンダじゃない。
Panda that's not a panda. Oh my god.
捉えどころのない動き。
But he was so cute as like this little baby. But he also grew up. So he was a cursed corpse that was like a baby but could also grow. I know he had emotions, but how did he grow?
まあ、俺みたいのがいたら噂くらい聞くわな。そうじゃないってことは、お前は樹骸じゃなくて。
No, it's somebody inside of the body. I'm gonna have to go back. That was so much information. Hold up. I know this is like really interrupting the flow, but that was a lot. So I just need to kind of get it together. That's a generic name for inanimate objects that house curses and can operate independently. Man-made cursed corpses always have a core that serves as their heart. So he made Panda into a baby? Leading expert on puppeteering curse techniques. So Panda is a cursed corpse, but why did he make him into a baby? Like, did he have a choice in making him into a baby? Like, he had a crib and everything. He's like raised him as a child. Like, am I thinking too critically about this? Like, let me try and rationalize this. I don't understand how like Panda was made. If you could make a man-made cursed object, why would you do it as a baby? Okay, I think I understand the difference. It's the fact that cursed corpse is like a generic name, but it doesn't distinguish the difference between Panda and inanimate objects that house curses that function independently. Panda isn't the same because Panda has emotions, which means Panda is the masterpiece of Yaga because he not only has emotions, but Panda can grow because Panda isn't an object. He's not an inanimate object. He's like an actual creation, which means he has like his own intelligence and sense of understanding and his own emotions, which means he was nurtured as a baby into an adult because he was created to be almost like a child in that Yaga can help shape him because he's not the same as cursed corpses, but because cursed corpses is like the generic name for anything that houses a curse inside of them but acts independently. Panda kind of falls into that, but he's not the same as them because he's not an inanimate object. He's an actual independent being. Like he can function with his own like intelligence and consciousness and emotions because they talk about how cursed corpses are inanimate objects, right? That act independently, but it doesn't say they can think independently. It just says they house curses, but act independently. Whereas Panda's kind of different in that Panda is not an inanimate object, right? But was created by Yaga, but he has like his own intelligence. So he can think and act independently as well as having emotions, which means he's no different really to an actual person. He's still the same as the other puppets, but unlike the other puppets who can only act independently, they can't think and feel, Panda can. So Panda is kind of like a mutation of cursed corpses. He's just wholly unique in that it's a puppet that is able to be a being. So Panda is a puppet, but not a puppet, if that makes sense. Like he was created by Yaga and he's Yaga's masterpiece, but he doesn't function the same way as other cursed corpses. And that's why he says to the robot, if there was someone else like me, I would know, because he's like the only one to have a fully formed consciousness and emotions and to think and act independently and basically be raised by Yaga and trained by Yaga to be like his own being. Even though he's like cursed energy in a puppet, he has sort of become his own thing, like his own being. You know, he's raised him from like this baby state into what Panda is now. How that happened, I don't know. I think they'll probably explain it, but I'm not going to think too deeply into it other than the fact that the difference between Panda and the other puppets of Yaga is that they can act independently, but they don't think independently or have emotions, but Panda does. Panda has his own consciousness, his own emotions, and can also act independent of Yaga. Yaga doesn't necessarily control Panda in the way that he can control the others. The other puppets were still being dictated to by Yaga. They could function independently, but like he still had to tell them sort of what to do, but he didn't have to constantly control them in that sense. Whereas Panda doesn't need that. Like Panda is sentient. Like Panda is aware of his existence. A lot of information to try and take in there because I was wondering what the hell Panda was. I was like, is Panda an actual panda? Like, what is Panda's story? And now we know that like he was created by Yaga. He is different to other cursed corpses because he has emotions, free will, autonomy, all that. So he functioned independently, and it's why he's being trained as a jujutsu sorcerer, because he is his own being, essentially. Whereas the other puppets of Yaga can act independently, but still need to be piloted by him. Like they can't live a life of their own in the way that Panda can.
傷ついちゃうぞ。
Poor Panda. He's unique.
お前の呪力出力からして本体もそう遠くにはいないよな。やっぱお前ぶっ壊すか。
どちらもかなわんさ。
At first I thought he was actually inside of the robot, but no, he's just operating from a distance.
生まれながら肉体に強制された縛りのことだ。俺には生まれつき右腕と膝から下の肉体、さらに腰から下の感覚がない。
So a pact forced upon him at birth.
焼かれるほど脆く。
That's awful.
象として俺は広大な術式範囲と実力以上の呪力出力を与えられた。
But what kind of life is that, though?
呪術を差し出し、肉体が戻るのであれば喜ん
Oh,
で
I
そう
really
する
feel
さ。
sorry for
俺
him.
はな、俺を差し置いて、樹海のお前がのうのうと日の元を歩いているのが、
But that's not Panda's fault. I can understand the jealousy and the anger, but that's not Panda's fault that you had this pact forced upon you at birth.
すんげえ呪力量。しかもこの位置。車線に登らん。受けるしかない。
Oh. Holy shit! Panda, no!
死んだか。いや、死という概念さえ、お前には。
No, it does, because Panda is a sentient being.
工事マンついでに術式情報を小出しにしたわけだ。なかなか術師だな。
アルティメットキャノンをまともに食らって生きているだと。
ちょっとムカついちゃった。
It looks like a gorilla.
パンダはパンダじゃない。
Yeah, we know Panda's not a panda, but it looks like Panda's another animal now.
お前にはお兄ちゃんとお姉ちゃんがいるんだ。
いませんけど。
いや、いる。お前の中にな。その二人はいつだって力を貸してくれる。
ソードオプション、
Oh.
ウルトラシールド。
So is this older brother or older
従来の
sister?
心臓となる核は本来一つ。だが俺の中には三つの核がある。メインの核を入れ替えることでボディをコンバートで、バランス重視パンダ核、短期決戦パワー重視お兄ちゃんゴリラ核、そして照れ屋なお姉ちゃん。お姉ちゃんの核は衝撃で、パンダ核はさっきのでヘロヘロだ。
But not gorilla core. What? That's insane.
ほどのパワーはない。だが今のショーだ。内部に響く。
Does his cores regenerate?
俺がゴリラモードの得意技。防御不能ドラミングビート。
次ドラミングビートを頭部か胸部にまともに
That's
食らえば、メ
amazing.
カ丸はもう動かせないだろう。右腕、ソードオプションはもう機能してない。アルティメットキャノンももう
Shouldn't have underestimated him. You shouldn't have seen him as something useless.
急がねえと最大火力はもう撃てないよな。
He's a sentient
左と口は
being.
剣なし、砲撃のみか。メカ丸は2度の砲撃で俺を仕留め損なったと思っている。 実際は2つの核をしっかり瀕死にしているのだ。
Okay, so his cause can die.
だが近接なら俺に分がある。
Holy shit. Come on, Panda. Oh my god. Come on, Panda. Come on. Oh, it's a game of chase now. Why do I feel like he's baiting Panda into a trap?
河原、さっき屋根から拾ったのか。目くらましからのジェット加速。こいつ慣れてやがる。今度こそ外さない。
Oh no, his cause.
最も知力の声。
Panda!
よくやった方だ。人形にしては。
He's not a puppet.
その辺の除外と一緒にすんなよ。核の位置くらい磁力操作でブラフ張るさ。そもそも数ごまかしてるし。
Oh, Panda! Would a puppet act like this? No.
お前の敗因は人形舐めすぎ。俺は俺で生まれた時から何一つ周りと同じじゃなかったし、そのあたりはお前と分かり合えると思うんだがな。まあ俺は人間羨ましいと思ったことないけど。
何？
だって人間気持ち悪いじゃん。目標のために命がけで頑張っちゃったりさ、サバサバしてんだかうじうじしてんだかよくわかんねえし。ま、そういう俺にない部分が好きなんだけどな。
He doesn't try to be something that he's not.
メカ丸もいろいろ大変なんだろう。でも大変なやつが正しいとは限んねえよ。なんで呪術師やってんだ？それしかやることなかったのか？何か叶えたいことがあるなら、俺はお前を手伝うぜ。
Oh, Panda.
大技を無駄打ちするな。敵が目の前の一体だけとは限らないぞ。
女のタイプも即答できない奴が呪術師として一人前になれると思うな。
メカ丸、これ義理ですけど、チョコの代わりです。エボルタ炭酸が好きと聞きました。
俺はそういうんじゃない。
だって舞
But none of them treat him like a person, but Panda recognizes him as a person. A cursed object sees the humanity inside of the robot in a way that others don't.
みんなと一緒に。俺の姿を見た後でも手伝うなんてセリフが吐けるかな。
ルックスに関して俺がどうこう言うと思ってんのかよ。パンダだぞ。
I'm a panda, I don't give a fuck.
うるせえ、クソ人形。
Oh,
忘れてた。携帯貸して。
lend me your phone. Oh, Panda is an icon.
嘘でしょ。この人、めちゃくちゃ強い。
Of course she is.
メカ丸、のりたしに歌姫先生が呼んでたって伝えといて。
メカ丸、これ東堂くんに渡しといて。これ東堂先輩とカモ先輩に。
お前ら、なんでいつも俺を通すんだ？
今話しかけんな。高田ちゃんが生配信中だ。
Don't interrupt his idle time.
めんどくせえからに決まってんじゃん。
普通にまだ怖いんだよな。
Mechamar is the nicest.
って言ったら、もう頼まれてくんないかもな。頼りにしてますよ。グー。さあ、任務だ。
理由を。まあ、頼られてるならいいか。
Oh, I really do feel for him. It's so sad because he's, so jealous and envious that he was born into a life of pain and suffering. And from what he's describing, you wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy. And yes, as a result of this horrible pact, he's able to use a curse technique that's extremely powerful and he can shoot from a long distance. But he's suffering on a daily basis, and this robot body is the only way that he can really interact with his classmates because he can't move around the same as they can. And I can understand his frustration seeing Panda, this cursed corpse that is walking around and gallivanting and doing everything that he longs to do. But it's the realization that Panda is not the enemy. He's seeing Panda as nothing more than a puppet, but he's failing to realize that Panda is a sentient being. Can you really call someone that can think independently and has emotions and acts of their own free will a puppet? No, which is why he's the masterpiece, because he doesn't function in the same way as other cursed corpses. He's like a mutation, he's different. And it's the fact that it takes someone that he looks down on and sneers at as not being worth seeing as a sentient being to empathize with him and understand what he's going through, and even offers to help him, wants to see him succeed in his goals and his dreams. And he's saying, oh, well, you'll think differently when you see me. And he's like, no, I won't, because I'm a fucking panda. I don't care. And he even says, like, there's aspects of humans that he doesn't understand. And he doesn't feel the same way as every human does, but he's not envious of them because he can admire that quality that he lacks whilst at the same time being proud of who he is. And that's what he's trying to essentially say to him is, your suffering doesn't solely define you. Yes, it's horrendous. You need to look at not necessarily the positives, because the situation is horrendous. I can't imagine ever being in that situation. But I think what he's essentially trying to say to him is, you can constantly wallow in this misery and bitterness and longing for something that you may not have, or you can actually try and achieve what you're aspiring for, and I will help you. But to berate me and others and mistreat them because they're different, because they have what you don't have, is only going to lead to you being lonely and miserable and wallowing. And he even says, like, you're a typical jujitsu sorcerer, going woe is me and then showing this incredible power. But I can kind of understand why he's like, woe is me, because his situation is shit. It's awful. And it's not something he asked for. And he even said, if I could trade this for a normal body, he would do it in a heartbeat. And I genuinely think he would. I think he'd happily sacrifice these abilities to be a regular, normal person. But at the same time, I love that there is that like bonding moment between Panda and Megamara, who is emotionally impacted by it. You can see his eyes welling up, even when he starts, berating him as a puppet once more. I think Panda got through to him in a way that no one else has. He tries to connect with the others around him, but they see him, not really as a person because they've never interacted with the human aspect of him. They kind of mock him by, telling, I've forgotten her name, that he likes factories because he's a robot, but he is a person, but they're not seeing him as that. And, it must get grating over time knowing that they don't see you as the person you actually are. And you can kind of get why he's kind of a bit bitter, not necessarily because they get to roam around and he can't, but likely he's been confused as a cursed corpse before, and he's not. He's a human. So I think that's where sort of the anger and the resentment comes from as well, in that nobody sees him as a human. They see him as this inanimate object. They don't see the person that's behind the robot, but Panda does. And it takes Panda explaining that he'll help him for him to finally understand that he's taking his anger and frustration out on the wrong person, that it's not Panda's fault that other people don't see him for who he really is. I genuinely can't condemn him. I feel so bad for him. It's such a shit situation, but I'm hoping this will kind of make him like reconsider his feelings towards Panda, because again, Panda isn't really a puppet. Like, yes, he was designed as a puppet. It poses the question of, can you really call a sentient being a puppet when they have the ability to act independently and with free will? I would say no. I would say Panda was designed to be as such, but he's not that. He's something entirely different, and he has different cores, and he's able to manipulate the energy so that you don't know how many cores he has, but also the placement. So if he was a puppet, he wouldn't be able to do that. The fact that he is free thinking and capable of emotions and empathy and understanding and connection shows that he is more than what Mechamara is giving him credit for. And I think he kind of realizes that at the end. I'm hoping we see more interaction between them, and that Panda does go to visit his human form, because it would be nice for him to actually feel like he's being seen as a human rather than as a robot. But yeah, you can just understand and empathize why those emotions have like festered and why he exerts it on Panda. But you know, as he's coming to realize it's not Panda's fault, and as Panda's saying, you know, I'm happy to help you, but you can't wallow in this, because wallowing isn't going to change the situation. I love Panda so much. I love learning this information about him, that he has like an older sister and an older brother that reside within him. One is a gorilla, one is bashful. It said that the core was hit and nearly damaged, but I don't know if we've seen that form, if it's the same as the panda form or what, because we have the panda, we have the gorilla, but we haven't seen the sister. So I have a feeling they're kind of keeping that like on the down low for now, and we'll eventually see the older sister's form, because I imagine it's going to be different from panda and gorilla. Seeing him like as a little baby and growing, oh, it's so cute. Baby Panda was like the cutest little thing ever, but he essentially is the principal's child. He raised him. He is this sentient being that's going to become a jujutsu sorcerer in his own right. He is independent and free thinking and is not a panda. But I'm glad that we got some context, because I've been wondering for a while. I was like, I don't understand how it works. Is someone operating inside of Panda? Because we saw obviously the glimpse of the boy and then the robot. So it was like, oh, is he operating inside of the robot? But he's not. He's operating from a distance. And then I was like, oh, is somebody inside of Panda? But no, Panda is just something entirely different. He's just something we never anticipated. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye.